Hello everyone and welcome to episode 3 of Let's Talk Animals. So in today's episode we are going to be focusing on the saltwater crocodile. Now I have changed up a few bits of my setup, so please let me know if things don't look right. I've got a bit of sound happening in the background, so let me know if that's too loud so that I can adjust it for you guys. So this is, like as I said, there's a few things that have changed. Obviously my camera and everything is changed, so we shall see how we go with everything today. Now once again I just want to start off by saying that the information in this is from my experience and my research, so if something's not quite right, please let me know and I can adjust what I know on this already. But firstly, welcome on out Liam, welcome on out Lexatron. Hope you guys are doing well, and I am keen to bring you the saltwater crocodile. There it is right there. So let us start off by saying the saltwater crocodile is probably one of the main apex predators out there, especially in terms of your reptiles. They are quite fearsome, quite dangerous, and they do a lot of damage. Now, the saltwater crocodile has the scientific name of Crocodilus porosus, which is a lot easier to say than some of the other ones that we have been dealing with. Hey Stephen, welcome on out today. How are you doing? Now, the saltwater crocodile can live for up to 70 years. On average. Now, as always in the wild, it is a little bit harder to have accurate ages of them, but there have been some records of saltwater crocodiles in captivity living for up to 100 years of age. So quite a long time, long living species. Now, they are one of the, they are the largest living reptile in the world, with the males actually getting larger than the females. On average, the males can be around 5 meters long, on average, and weighing around 500 kilos. But there have been records of up to 7 meters long and weights estimated to be around 1,500 to 2,000 kilos. So very, very large animals. So with the average of about 5 meters for the males, the females are smaller, averaging sort of 3 to 4 meters long. So a lot smaller. Now, crocodiles, as you're probably aware, very much a carnivore. They eat quite a lot. Yeah. So yeah, crocodiles eat virtually anything. They are quite dangerous, and as you can see, or probably are aware, their teeth are very, very dangerous. Very, very large teeth. Let's have a look at that one there. So you can see those teeth are not messing about at all. Now, in terms of crocodiles' movement on land, there are 3 main types of movement that a crocodile will utilise whilst it is on land. The first is the belly slide. So basically, when a crocodile is moving around on the mud, it will just basically do what a penguin does, lay on its belly and slide along. Especially if it's going downhill back to the water, very easy to slide back using that mud to get back into the water. The next is the high walk, what's known as the high walk, where the crocodiles actually lift themselves up off the ground to move across a bit more of a tricky terrain type of thing. And the third is what's known as a gallop. So crocodiles, there is 2 reasons why a crocodile will actually start to pick up speed. One is that they're trying to chase after a bit of food if it's on land, or if they're trying to get away from any danger. Now, you might be thinking crocodiles are the top apex predator type of thing. What could they be afraid of? But there are things out there that are a danger for a crocodile. Now, in terms of where crocodiles live, especially your saltwater crocodiles we're talking about in this episode, they range from the northern areas of Australia, but they also do expand up to eastern India and Southeast Asia as well. So they do have quite a range, and they are very, very good swimmers, exceptionally good swimmers, and they've been documented of actually being out in sea for weeks, like just going along, hunting for food out there, and just swimming and drifting along, and they can actually swim hundreds of kilometers when they're hunting. So very, very good at long distance. So once again, if you do have any questions about these animals, please pop them in the chat and I will try my best to get to them. If for some reason, or when the stream is over, you still have questions, pop it in that chat down below and I will respond with answers to those. So saltwater crocodiles mainly feed on fish, mammals and birds. And like they do have a preference, sort of more of a nocturnal hunting situation, hunting of a nighttime. But when it comes to a crocodile eating, especially your larger males, they are pretty much designed to eat anything that comes into their territory. Now that does include humans as well as sharks. Now, even though they are known as saltwater crocodiles, yes, they love to live in habitats like coastal habitats that have got a lot of salt water around, but they're not opposed to going into a freshwater river as well. So that's what makes them so dangerous, is because they do expand from saltwater also into freshwater rivers, and that's where a lot of conflict with fishermen and that can come down to it. How long can they stay underwater? I'll look that one up, because I'm not 100% sure on that one. Alright. So I'll look that one up a little bit later, so I can keep on going with this. But I will remind me, Stephen, that I need to answer that one for you later. Alright. So, I'm sure a lot of you have heard of what's called a death roll. Now, it is a crocodile speciality. So, when a crocodile is eating, it will drag its food back into the water, it will drown it, and then kill it. Once its prey is dead, it will grab onto a chunk of it and just start thrashing and rolling around. And what this is actually doing, it is actually helping to break the limbs and things off of that prey. Because the teeth of a crocodile are more designed for... sorry, just looking at something else. The teeth are more designed for gripping rather than ripping and tearing. So they'll grab onto something, dig those giant teeth in, and then as they're thrashing and spinning around, those teeth will actually just start to grind and rip that that limb off of the main part of the carcass. Now, in terms of the different males and females, in terms of reaching maturity, the female crocodiles will actually reach a maturity of a snout vent length of about 110 centimeters, whereas the males reach it at about 150 centimeters, 160 centimeters, sorry. So let me see if I can do something that can help identify that. So, if we have, oops, I've got to move this up. So if we have a look at, voice crack. Have a look at this image that I've got here. The snout, obviously the tip of the nose, and the vent is the portion pretty much almost where the back legs are. So just a little bit below where the back legs are on that image, where the bottom is. So that is sort of what we call the snout vent length. So when a female gets to roughly around 110 centimeters from snout to that vent part, so the base of the tail, that is when the females will reach maturity. The males reach the maturity at about 160 centimeters. So a little bit of a difference there. But even though they've reached sexual maturity at those sizes, they are still very unlikely to be able to breed at those sorts of sizes, especially if there are some other larger males or females in the area that take a bit more dominance over those. Could it swallow a small child whole? Well, that is a very good question, especially your larger males that can get up to 7 meters long. Let me just do this. So 7 meters is roughly around 22 feet. So that is a very, very large animal. And depending on the size of the child, it is very possible that they could swallow a child whole. Like sort of toddler size, probably, definitely. As it's sort of getting into like young adult, it can probably be a little bit more challenging, but they will still be able to grab, drown, death roll, break us apart, and eat us very easily. Which is why you always, wherever there are potentially saltwater crocodiles in rivers and stuff, especially in the northern parts of Australia, there are lots and lots of signs out there for people to view and see. And if you are ever travelling to Australia or around Australia, be aware of signs near waterways. They're there for a reason, because crocodiles, if something's in their territory that they can grab and eat, they will go for it. They're not fussy at all. A very good question there. Now, back to here. So, with your saltwater crocodiles, courtship and breeding occurs in the build-up to the wet season. So wet season sort of roughly like October-ish, starts around late September, October sort of times. So they breed before that. And during this time, the males can become quite territorial, especially if there are other males around. There are some quite fierce competitions for females. It starts off by males chasing younger or smaller males, trying to push them away. They can get some head slaps going in there, and some growling along that will help to try and persuade younger males to move away. However, if there are two males that are sort of both wanting to compete for a female, there can be full-blown competition happen there, which could result in very serious injuries to each other and even death. So the urge for the males to breed can sometimes cause them to fight to the death for a territory. So what happens next? So basically, once the female or the males have pushed away all the other males, and a female has decided that she is happy for this male, they come together with some snout contact first. So they brush up against each other, they rub each other. A lot of contact there, physical contact. There is also a lot of vocalizing that they do as well. So lots of vocalizing from these, both the male and the female. They start bubbling. So what they do is they start submerging themselves. And as they're vocalizing and growling, like the spikes or the spine sort of thing on the back of the crocodile. Let me see if I can change my image up to something that shows it. So let's go to this one here. And we'll move that one back down. So when they are vocalizing, they put those little plate scales that are on their back there under the water. And as they're vocalizing, that sort of bubbles and shakes and makes a lot of motion on the surface. As well as when they go completely under the water, they start breathing out their nose and bubbling, making lots of bubbles out there. So this is all in terms of courting each other. And so they do a lot of that. They'll actually start circling each other and then they will go under, like continuously submerge themselves and resurface. And this can actually take place for up to 15 minutes. So plenty of time for the males and females to have a bit of fun and going under and basically making sure that they're choosing the right partner. Give me one moment, guys. Alright, are there any questions with what I've said so far? I have gone through quite a lot of stuff in quite a quick amount of time. So if there are any questions, just pop them in the chat or in the comment section and I will get to them. Now, once the females have bred, they will go off and they will start to build their nest. Now this happens sort of can happen any time between sort of October and May is where they say, but sort of more earlier times. And when they build their nest, they build it in a section that is obviously above water level so that they don't get their eggs drowned out. But they also do it at an area where there is a permanent water supply. So she wants to make sure that her babies, once they hatch, have got a water supply very close by. So she builds that nest and she can lay, on average it's around 50 eggs, but there have been documents, especially in the captivity circle, of up to 70 eggs in one nest for a female. So they do lay a lot of eggs and they have a lot of babies there. Now these eggs are actually covered with a hard shell so that they are quite protected. Once the eggs have been laid, she then covers them up inside this egg chamber in the nest and they're able to incubate. And so there's the source of heat obviously from solar from the sun, but they also get heat from the rotting material, like the leaf litter and that the eggs are surrounded in. Now, temperature is extremely important, especially to your saltwater crocodiles and a lot of other reptiles as well. Now, they've got a very specific temperature range. So if the temperature in that egg chamber goes above 34 degrees Celsius or below 26 degrees Celsius, the eggs can either die or the babies can come out with deformities. So it's 8 degrees is the difference there. So very, very specific temperature ranges for your crocodiles. Now, as I said, the temperature is extremely important when incubating a lot of eggs in reptiles, and that is because the gender of the babies is determined by temperature. So depending on what the temperature is in that egg chamber in the nest will depend on whether the babies hatch out as male or female. Now, the females are the lower temperatures. So around sort of like 28 to 30 degrees, you'll hatch out female babies. Around 32 to 34, you will hatch out male babies. And if it's somewhere in the middle, you can get a bit of a mix between males and females. So very, very important is that temperature. So the females, when she's making her egg chamber and her nest, needs to keep all of these things in mind when she's digging that. So how much sunlight is it going to get? How cold is it going to get there? Are those eggs going to survive this long period? So very, very important. Now, those eggs, they incubate for around 2 to 3 months. And so this is also depending on the temperature. So yeah, depending on how warm or cold it is, the eggs can take longer or less time to hatch out. Usually the warmer eggs are the first ones to hatch, which are the males. So it is very important, like this part is very important to have the males hatching out first. Because what happens is they get out, they get into the water system. where predators are usually listening out, because when those babies are ready to hatch, they start to call out. They start chirping and letting the mothers know that they are ready to hatch. The mothers come back, they dig up those eggs. Some of those babies are already hatched, some of them are still inside their eggs. So the males, they hatch out first, they get into the waterways, and they basically provide a bit of food for a lot of the predators out there. Yeah. There is a very, very high mortality rate in baby crocodiles. Excuse me. So they do say that probably 1% of those newborn babies are going to survive. So even though she has up to 70 eggs, 1% are likely to survive. Obviously more or less can survive, it just depends on the waterway and how protected it is. But yeah, it is one of those things where it is very, very hard for a baby crocodile to survive. So by having the males go first, you might get a few males that are lucky enough to survive. They get out there. But there's things like birds of prey, large fish, turtles, and even some other crocodiles in the area will eat baby crocodiles. So the males go first, provide the food. The females come out, they'll still get, a lot of them will still get eaten, but it's better off in the society of crocodiles to have a higher female population than a higher male population. So the more females there are, the less competition for females, and the less males there are, the less fighting over territory there is for the males. So yeah, males are more of a sacrifice to get the balance of males to females right. Now, moving on to something that I originally didn't know before coming in here. It's something that I've learnt in my research, which I always love the fact that I can do this research and learn things myself. Actually, before I do that, I am going to go to here. And we are going to get ourselves one of these up here. There we are. So this is a young crocodile there, you can see. Very, very cute little things. Now back to what I was saying. A crocodile sleeps with one eye open. Just think about that. Crocodiles sleep with one eye open. There has been scientific proof that crocodiles actually sleep one eye closed, one eye open. It is what we know as unihemispheric sleep. Now, what it basically involves is they actually shut down half of their brain. So half of their brain sleeps while half of their brain stays awake, keeping an eye out for any potential danger. Now, the interesting thing is, just like with our so the right and the left parts of the brain operate the opposite side. So when the right eye is open of the crocodile, the left half of the brain in a crocodile is actually alert and functioning. When the left eye is open, the right side of the brain is alert and functioning while the left sleeps. So whichever eye is open, that half of the brain is asleep and the opposite half is awake and alert. Very confusing, but very, very interesting. Now, one of the big things with the crocodiles is they eat whilst underwater. So there's a lot that, well, basically, if anyone's tried to open their mouth underwater, you get a mouthful of water going straight down the throat. But crocodiles, they need to be able to hold their food with their mouth open and eat underwater whilst not drowning themselves in water. And what they actually have is, wrong button. I didn't get the right one. So you can have a look there at the back of the throat of the crocodile is a flap. So the flap, there is a flap that that covers their throat so that they can basically hold their food, they can chew their food, and they can then bring their head up to the surface to swallow their food so the water doesn't go down. So very, very skilled and designed in order to live basically as one of the main apex predators out there. Now, going back to their eyes for a moment, the crocodiles actually have 3 eyelids. So let me just... So let's see if I can find something here. That one. So they have 3 eyelids. So if I go back over to here, go to here, you can actually have a look and see there. So they have a top, they have a bottom, and they also have a 3rd eyelid that actually goes across in front of their eyes. So it goes from the front to the back, and that is a very clear membrane. So like for us, we close our eyes in order to make sure that like dust and dirt and stuff don't fly into our eyes, and we clean our eyes out by closing them. A crocodile, when they go underwater, there's a lot of stuff in the water that they can actually get stuck in their eyes, especially when you got like cloudy and murky waters. But by having this 3rd eyelid that goes across the eyes, it means that they can go underwater, they can close that 3rd eyelid across the eye, and they can actually see through it. It means that they can go hunting and searching for things underwater without having to close their eyes completely to protect their eyes from dirt and sticks and muck that's in the water. So that's another fact that I think is actually very, very cool. Is there anyone else who has any questions or anything that they would like to ask about the saltwater crocodile or things like that? Alright, so how's everyone finding this new setup as well? So, how's the sound, the look? How's it looking to people? This is not. So, Stephen, I think it was, asked about how long they can stay underwater. So it also depends on obviously the size of the crocodile, but according to this, the larger saltwater crocodiles can actually stay underwater for at least an hour. Now they can also do this because crocodiles have the ability to lower their heart rate. Now they can lower their heart rate down to around a couple of beats per minute. So it means that, like, especially when it gets a little bit colder, they can lower their heart rate so they don't have to use as much energy to keep themselves alive. Because reptiles are very temperature determined, as we've already mentioned with their eggs. And you like the new setup? Awesome, that sounds good. But yes, so temperature plays a huge part in reptiles. Now, anyone out there, have you heard of ectothermic? Give it a moment. Just say yes if you have heard of ectothermic, or no if you have not heard of ectothermic. Give it a moment. So if I go back to here, and I'm going to change this again. There we go. Alright, sorry about that, just changing that up. So ectothermic, don't see anyone in the chat, is ectothermic is what reptile basically is a temperature, they use temperature in order to eat their food. So we humans, we're what we call endothermic. We eat our food and our food gets turned into energy, which then regulates our body temperature. Reptiles use their temperature, regulation of their temperature to be able to eat their food. So as you can see here, this crocodile that I've got in the image is what we call basking. So it might be a little bit cold, so it's gone out, it's sitting in the sun, it's absorbing energy and heat from the sun, which it will then use to be able to go in and eat its food and digest it. Because if reptiles don't get enough energy from external sources, which is the ectothermic, from an external source, it actually can't digest its food, it'll eat it, it'll sit in its belly, and it can actually potentially rot and cause a lot of issues. So that's one of the big things with reptiles being able to eat, is they sit out in the sun. That's why you see a lot of reptiles doing that. They absorb energy from the sun and heat to be able to regulate their body temperature to eat their food. And it's why reptiles, they don't undergo a hibernation as such. They undergo what's called a brumation, or torpor. It is basically a temperature-determined hibernation, where if it does get really cold for a while, some reptiles can go into hiding. But here in Australia, even in the cold winters, we do get some winter weeks that are of a nice temperature, where they'll come out. They will, if they can get enough energy and heat from the sun, they'll come out to be able to then go and eat. Whereas a hibernation is just goes to sleep and waits till it warms up. So that's another pretty interesting fact, I think, with your reptiles. Now, does anyone have any questions in relation to the saltwater crocodiles? I think I went back and answered all of the ones. I can stay under the water, I've mentioned that. Swallow a small child, I've answered that. How many eggs do they lay? I've answered that. Yep, so let me know. Is there more stuff about this species that you want to know about? There are no silly questions. I like to be able to make sure that everyone does understand, because I have spoken about quite a lot of stuff, but I don't know if I have explained it properly. So if I've said something that you're not quite sure of, let me know, and I can see if I can fix that. Again, if this is after the video has come out, pop your questions in the comment section, and I will go through, and once I get those, I will read about them, make sure I get the right answers, and get back to you. Let me just do something quickly. So yes, they do have a bit of a symbiosis with some species of birds. There are birds. So this, what I'm going to do here, save image as. So let me get this up for you. So as you can see here, birds do play quite a bit of an important role when it comes to crocodiles. And you can see that bird is being very trusting of that crocodile at the moment. So obviously crocodiles can eat things that are a bit gross, a bit rotting. If it's been in the water for a while, they don't mind. It's food for them. But that does can cause them quite a lot of problems, especially with things like parasites. So getting in and around their teeth and in their mouth, things like that. So what these little birds can do for some species of crocodiles is they go into the mouth and they actually eat all the parasites that the crocodile has in its mouth. And by doing that, it is what we call a symbiosis relationship. So the crocodile is getting its mouth cleaned and the bird is getting food. So they're working together for mutual benefits. Because those parasites can cause some huge problems for crocodiles if they don't get cleaned up. And obviously the birds like to eat them. So, yeah, very, very good balance right there. How far into the ocean do they go? So they can go quite far into the ocean, and there have been documentation saying that crocodiles are hundreds of kilometers off the shoreline. So they do go right out, and they can be at sea for over a week at a time. So they can just swim along, getting food, and just a lot of the time they will just sort of do a bit of drifting. If they get a bit tired, they can float themselves onto the surface, and they will just sit there and float to conserve their energy, and then they will get going again. So they can be out at sea for quite a long time, and yeah, it's only up to them how far they want to actually go before they turn back. But the crocodiles range, as I mentioned right at the start. Let me just make sure I get this right. So from the northern parts of Australia, it extends right up to eastern India and Southeast Asia. So it does expand up in those water areas. Yep, that is a good point, Zach. And let me just get some things up. All right. So crocodiles and alligators, they are two animals that are very similar, but they're also very, very different. So one of the main differences, and I will see if I can get a good image. Here we go. So alright, so let me just get this image up for you guys so you can see what I'm talking about. Alright, so the top images on this one are the alligators. So you've got the top view and the side-on view of the alligator's head, and then you've got the top view and the side view of the crocodile's head. So as you can see, an alligator has a more rounded snout, whereas the crocodile's is more of a triangulated mouth. So that is a big difference between the two, is physicality of it. Let me have a look and see if there's any other good ones. So also with the teeth between them as well. So alligators have more of what we know as an overbite. So their top jaws actually go over the top of the bottom. So let me so if we go to this other image that I've just got here, you can really see that the top teeth are quite visible and you can't really see any bottom teeth. So yeah, their top teeth are over. And it also is to do with the food. Oh, my stream is, I think I've got a few things happening at the moment. Let's remove that, go back to here. See if this blur can come back. Come on. I think it's getting there. So, yeah, as you can see there, the top jaw is over the top of the bottom, whereas the crocodiles, let me see, did I get one? Didn't get a good one there, but the crocodiles actually have teeth that interlock with each other. So, And as I said, that is to differ, or because of the differing in their food. A crocodile is designed to grab on and hold. So they'll grab onto a giant creature and hold onto it and dig those teeth in those interlocking teeth in, and they will just drag it down into the water to drown it. Whereas an alligator is more of a turtle eater. So if you have a look at, once again, at this other image that I just had, the jaw of the alligator is more rounded, which is a turtle shape. So they grab onto something like a turtle, and then they are able to hold it in their mouth, and then that is what they basically go for, things like that. But again, they do eat other types of meat as well. It is not specifically just turtles, but that is a part of how their jaws are designed. Which just made me think of something else that I want to get. That one. So the jaw pressure of a fully grown crocodile. So as I mentioned in the last episode, we had our Tasmanian devil. And I won't say it, but just, oh, excuse me, sorry about that, guys. Now, what I want you to do in the chat, if you watched last week's episode on the Tasmanian devil, type in the comment section do you remember what the jaw pressure of an adult Tasmanian devil can get? Do you remember? Because that's going to compare it to an adult saltwater crocodile right here. So, and once again, a human averages 150 pounds per square inch. A saltwater crocodile is obviously quite a lot more than that, and so is the Tasmanian devil. So I'll give it another moment for anyone to pop in that chat. Do you remember the Tassie devil jaw pressure? If you don't, just type no so I know that people are actually hearing and answering. Alright. I'm not seeing anything there, which makes me think that you don't quite remember. Yes, Stephen, well done. You do remember. So the average human is 150 pounds per square inch. Tasmanian devil, adult Tasmanian devil, can get up to a 3,000 pound bite. And so you remember those are quite small compared to a lot of other creatures. An adult saltwater crocodile can get up to a 3,700 pound bite. So humans, 150. Tasmanian devils, 3,000. Adult saltwater crocodile, 3,700. So obviously saltwater crocodiles are a lot larger than the Tasmanian devil, but their jaw pressure is only 700 pounds stronger. So that is going to show you how strong those Tasmanian devils are for the size of the animal itself. Very, very interesting. Now, were there any other questions? And yes, Zach, I do see your suggestion there, and I will add it to my list. I don't have the pen in front of me right now, so I'll have to go and grab one. So whilst I go and quickly grab a pen, if there are anyone else who does have animal suggestions that they would like to put forth for these series, type it either in the chat now, or you can type it in a comment later, and I will get to it and add them to my list. So whilst you've got any questions, I will go and quickly grab a pen and my paper and my notes, and I'll be back to answer any questions. Give me one moment, guys. All right. So what was it? So I do have quite a few animals on this list over the weeks. So it might be a little bit, but I will get to everything that is on this list. And I am going to try and mix it up as much as I can. So we're doing the saltwater crocodile this week. Next week is, let me just make sure I'm not going to... Yep, so next week is something that is completely different. So if I'm getting quite a lot of different suggestions, I will mix it up so each week is quite a bit different from the previous one or the next one that's going to be coming out, so that we get quite a range of knowledge here. But I'm not seeing any questions. One thing I also might potentially do, and this again is up to suggestion, so if you do have ideas about this or thoughts, let me know in either the chat or the comments, because these episodes, some of these episodes are, like this one at the moment is 45 minutes, some of them have been a little bit shorter. If there's something that is possibly a bit shorter, would you be interested in having 2 animals in one episode, or do you like having just the one species per episode? Which is next week. I'm not going to say exactly because I like to have a little bit of an element of surprise, but there is I'll give you a very obscure hint, being that there is a Pokemon designed after this species. That's all I'm going to say about it. It probably won't help you at all because there's pretty much anything a Pokemon is designed after. But yeah, let me know. Do you like having it this situation where we do have one species per week, or would you like if there's something that possibly might have 2 like of the same type of species in the one episode? If you do 2, can you stay to the biome? What are you meaning by that, Stephen? What? Not sure what your... That is a possibility. Right. So what are you meaning by that one, Stephen? Just so I can make sure that I'm being clear. But yeah, so if we do 2 species in the one episode, I will... yeah. So that is a possibility of like doing it that way. So having 2 animals that come from the same region. The other possibility is possibly like in terms of this species that we've done today, doing like the estuarine or saltwater crocodile, but also including the things like the Nile crocodile or the freshwater crocodile, or keeping things sort of similar but having differences between the 2. That is sort of like my thinking, just so that episodes don't get too short if it's a bit of obscure. I will try and do my best to keep these episodes sort of around 45 minutes to potentially an hour, but it just depends on how I go with the research and my knowledge and things like that. I don't want to have it as like a 20-minute episode sort of thing. But it looks like everyone is pretty happy. There doesn't seem to be any questions. Yeah, potentially animals that interact with each other. Yes. We are at 8 likes. Can we hit 10 likes before the end of this? Because we are about to wrap up. If there's no other questions, I am going to have a quick look and see what is going on. All right. So, let me have a quick look. It was my pleasure, Stephen. I'm grateful that you came out and have, obviously, I hope you enjoy it. and learn a little bit about some amazing creatures that potentially you didn't know much about or got a bit more of an expanded knowledge. But I'm just going to go back to this image because I absolutely love this image, because you can really see the power and strength in that tail and that burst of strength of crocodiles being able to get out. Alright, so yeah, as I said, I do appreciate every single one of you who have come out to view this. I hope you found it educational. I hope you found it interesting. Yeah, any comments, feedback, anything like that, pop it in the chat or in the comment section. Let me know, because I'm always open to suggestions, feedback, different animals to work with, to research, all of that stuff. Pop it in the comment section. Let me know, because yeah, the more interaction I get with you guys, the better this series is going to become, and the more diverse we can have things be as well. But we are going to go on a raid now. We are going to raid my good friend who has helped me out so much with everything. Yes, if you haven't already, I do have a Twitter, I do have a Discord. Go follow me, because that's the best way to find out when I'm going live and when videos are going to be up, because I do post in the both on Twitter and Discord where these are, like when this is happening. And also, if for some reason I can't actually go live for some reason, I will also be putting it up on like Twitter and that, saying that so people don't expect me being live and that. But we are going to go with the hashtag. So we're going to go with the Smithy hashtag Smithy Let's Talk Animal Raid. So go ahead and copy that one. And we are going to say hello to Mama Cat. She is absolutely amazing. She has helped me out so much with everything. So I go over, give her some love. She's playing some Hollow Knight. Give her some love, and yeah, I shall see you on the next episode. So until then, hope you enjoy. Have a great day or night, and sorry, I should be looking at the camera. Have a good night, take it easy, and until next time, stay safe, and yeah, bye.